Alrighty, late day Q&A here with me and Trade Ideas. Open forum. We're doing this daily. So Monday through Friday at 3:30. As I consistently mention, it's a free for all Q&A. I don't come with any prepared content, so please chime in the questions panel here on YouTube, and we'll get to those questions. Of course, I will fill any dead air time with anything I think relevant. We can talk markets, charts. Prefer to stick to the U.S. equities, of course. I don't really do much in the lands of crypto or options or futures or anything like that, so I have nothing to add to there. How are you, Raj? Good to have you. Thanks for coming in. So, again, try to keep the time moving here, keep it interesting. Find it's much more interesting if the questions are coming in for you all to have me demonstrate things that you want to see done with the software, what we can, what we can't do. I don't like telling people no with anything, so I'm always going to try to find a workaround for some kind of scanning that we're looking for. So I see a few people starting to pile in now. I guess we'll kick it off for now. I'll go over a little bit around the horn. There's not a whole lot to report on Holly here. Neil, how are you? Thanks for joining. So we'll start with Holly, and we will kind of go from there. Interrupt me at any time. Like I said, what I'm doing here is free for all Q&A. But of course, if nobody's going to ask any Q's, I have no A's, and that's how that rolls. So all right, first thing here, what do we think of EVCM? Let's take a look. I always caution the fact that I am not I'm no CMT, I'm no expert or anything like that. I have kind of a biased eye on charts and chart patterns that I like. So, I see what I see. This looks like it's a new issue, right? Yeah, new issue here. ECM, what are we looking at? Software, US, computer, electronic manufacturing. Let's widen that up a little bit here. Here's approval, reimbursement. Just want to get an idea of what we're looking at here for this kind of company. So, new issue. I used to always kind of stay away from newer issues, but I have traded a few not that long ago. So, what do I see here? So, I don't want three columns. I like two columns. Sorry, keep that display the way I want. So, we're looking at roughly 26 mil on the float. Not very liquid at the moment. Under 200,000 shares coming into the close today. Slightly under what its 10-day average has been relative volume. Massive short growth. So that means that short float number is going to be moving up in the world here, it looks like. So we're reporting 5.5 from our data providers on all that. I would say this, what do I think of it? That horseshoe pattern that I'm always kind of looking for. Looks like we're putting in these higher lows. We got 18 to contend with. So the way it's closing now, fairly strong day, I would say. Buyers and sellers equal most of the day right before it takes off there. Decent close. Let's see if it gives it back up. Gives up 17 in the close. I would say, though, if it holds 17 in the close, it's something to look at going into next week. And, your resistance level is now 18, I would say. Of course, that doesn't mean it gets there, but that's my 2 cents on that. But again, it's not a very liquid stock, in my opinion. So, that's what you want to keep for. And then we'll bring over time and sales here. I always watching time and sales. Um, you know, you're looking at that for a spread. I'm not crazy about that. So it means you got to work that spread a little bit if you want a decent fill. I certainly wouldn't want to take it at the top of that whatsoever. So, and because it's not a liquid stock, you run into the problem of working that spread and getting that fill. So if it's something that, you have some kind of inside information on, and when I say inside information, I mean it's something you're tracking. It's a stock that the company, so on and so forth. Not inside information necessarily, but it's a stock that you're familiar with, a company that you're familiar with. I wouldn't go rushing right into it for myself, anyways. That's my 2 cents on that chart. Da, 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 da. Any trade cap scanners to share? I'm not sure what you mean by trade cap scanners. Like by market cap? I don't specifically have one, but we could always create one. If let me know, Raj, if that's what you mean by market cap. Um, I don't generally look at market cap. Yeah, you're welcome, Neil. Happy to go over anything and like I said, I'm no expert. I just, I look at some simple things and my eye is kind of biased to what I go to with that kind of horseshoe pattern. I see it probably a lot of times when it's not really there, to be honest. Just kind of how it goes for me. So let me know, Raj, in the questions panel, if you mean by market cap. I'm not sure what you mean by if trade cap. We have market cap, large cap. Okay, yeah. I mean, we could build one. So what do we want to look at with it? So we were to come over. We've got the bar here, new. Um, we could decide: are we going to do an alert window? Are we going to do a top list? Let's go with top list. This way we don't have to attach an event to it. We call it summary. We're going to call it large cap. Large cap. I think I spelled that right. Come to the window specific filters. We can see that there's things that are already populated in here. So I'll leave that price. Let's get rid of the price range. I don't think we're going to have to worry about low price stocks. It's got a large market cap to it. So, but we'll get rid of that average daily volume. So what are things that we want to look at for a large cap? So obviously, first thing we'll start with is market cap. So we come to the search tab, market cap, and we'll go with market cap by dollar value. We're going to add that filter. And so what we can do is we can use the show me function so we can make sure we're returning it to what we want it to look like. So I don't know what you're going to consider to be large cap. We can go with 6 billion. So, 6 and so that's what we're looking at, 6 billion for a market cap. So that's where we're starting. Okay. Let's say that we want to look at things that are fairly liquid to cut out any noise. So for the day, let's go with 500K shares traded on the day, so 500,000. And if you're not familiar, we just hover the icon here and click that show me function again. So it's volume today shares. So we put 500,000. So it's got to have at least traded 500,000 shares on the day. All right. Something else that you want to throw out an idea, anybody, something that you want a filter of, hopefully we'll have it. Nobody throws out just a random filter that we won't have. Something else that relates to volume. We can clear this list here. Prints, dollar volume. We want to add an average true range, a range during the day, a range, position and range. So maybe we want to see something breaking out. I'm always big on the 20-day range. So let's go with position and 20-day range. That's one of my personal favorites for a filter. All right, so we'll add that filter and let's just make sure, let's say we're 55% above the low of the 20-day range. So there we go, double check it. So show me stocks where the price is at least 55% above the low of this range. So that's, the beginnings of this kind of scan that we got here. All right, let's click OK. We can come to summary and it's going to tell us we're looking for stocks that have traded at least 500,000 shares today. We're 55% above the low of the 20-day range, and we got a 6 billion market cap or better. It's sorted by volume percent today. I'm not a fan of sorting that way. I actually like to sort on change from close. That's what I'm going to stick it on. So this is the server side data that it's going to be sorting on. So when this goes to populate, the things at the top of the list are going to populate the highest percent change from close. All right. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. It's going to bring us back to the summary. Again, we just went over that and we went back to change that sort by. Click OK, and here we are. Get rid of that nonsense there. All right. Now we have the display sort to contend with. Okay. So right now it's display sorting on volume today percent. All right. Don't really need that. That's not where I want to sort from. We're going to sort from change from close. That's what we're looking at. All right. And so these are the stocks. And get rid of that menu bar that are going to have that market cap and have the highest change from close, having traded at least 500,000 shares today with a 6 billion market cap. All right. So that's how I'd go about that. I can go ahead and share this if you like. So right click, save or share to cloud. We're going to save and share. I'll copy this link here, drop that into the chat for you. And that's a template for you to start to work with. You got some filters in there to work with. You can always go in there, change things around however you see fit. All right. And so that's the basis of getting the scan started as far as the top list goes. Now, if you wanted to change this to an alert window, this is what we could do. So we come back to new and go alert window. All right. We're going to just name it large cap. All right, we're not going to change anything here because the window is going to change on its own using what we call the collab feature. All right, so click OK. All right, that just take a second to load there. Here we go. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Sorry, caught one of my dock windows. There we go. Want to move that menu bar back out of the way. So, all right, now we can take this top list and we can move it over and convert it to this alert window here. And the difference, people might ask themselves, well, what's the difference between a T list and an A list or an A window? The top list is just the filters. So every 30 seconds is going back and forth from our server saying, hey, these are the stocks that meet all your filter requirements, where the alert window needs an alert, or I like to call it better, an event to trigger. An alert or an event is something like a new high, a new low, a check mark, a pullback. And we have all these different alerts that are here. You can tell the difference between alerts and filters because of the type of icon that you have. So these icons that look like this are all going to be your alerts all through here, right? Eventually, we're going to have to select one of those because an alert window needs that event while the filters are being satisfied to say, hey, this stock did what you asked me to look for at this exact second. The filters have this set of looking icons that are here, this teal and purple color, again, giving them minimum maximum values, all right? So what we're doing now is we're going to take this and turn it into that. All right, so we right click, come to collaborate, all right, and we get this URL that's in here, right? We're going to copy that URL, all right, and get rid of that by clicking OK. Then we're going to right click and we're going to go to collaborate on this window. We see this is with the URL already as it loads, all right? We want to get rid of that URL. So let's get rid of all that, okay? Now we're looking blank and we're pasting the URL we had copied from over there. We click OK, and now it's large cap and it's looking at all the filters that this had. So if we right click and we come to the configure, all right, first thing we'll do is let's check out our filters and the Windows specific filters, and we can see all those filters that we had just put in there. 55% above the low of the 20-day range, 6 billion market cap, 500,000 shares traded today, okay? Now, we need that alert. So if we come into the selected alerts, it defaults to be a heartbeat because we didn't give an alert. The top list didn't have one to give it. Heartbeat is an old function that worked like the top list used to work now. Only the heartbeat ping back and forth every 5 minutes to give you the list of stocks. So the top lists are obviously a much, much better. David, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Top lists are a much better feature than using that heartbeat. The heartbeat does serve some functions in the background for data for us, but I won't dive down that road right now. So we're going to uncheck that. And for the example's sake here, if you will, we're going to go new high and we're going to check that. And we can find that new high as well here. So if we didn't see it in the selected alerts already, if we were to click new high, add alert, it'll bring us to the selected alerts tab. Make sure there's a check mark in there. We're going to leave this field blank because we're just looking for a new high for the day. If you want it to be a new high for a specific amount of days, that's where you could enter this. And the example that's given here is if you were to put 365, you're looking at a new 52-week high. So it's looking back 365 days. All right, we're going to click OK. That'll bring us to the summary page. And now it's the same scan that this was here, only this alert has been added to it. And we don't have to worry about a server sort or any other sort because all it's doing is returning time-stamped alerts. We'll click OK, and we can see Netflix coming in, SoFi, so on and so forth. All right. And every one of these alerts is coming in with a timestamp. I don't have time as a column. So the next thing we can do is we can say, well, I want to see specific kind of data in these columns. So right click. We'll come back to configure. We can come to columns, all right? And there's going to be columns here based on the filters that are either involved or filters that we've been recently using. The system will recall things that are popular between us, all right? So time isn't over here. I click time, I move it from right to left. So this is kind of your column to select from. This is your display columns. I could say, well, I'm not interested in the relative volume because I know that stocks are trading at least 500,000 shares in their large cap. So we can get rid of that relative volume column. The volume today percent isn't something that I'm also interested in. All right. But I like to see the change from percent. I like to see the change from close in dollars and percent. So we could do that. All right. Now you can happen to look and you can say, well, the column that I want isn't there. We were to come back to search and we search for, let's say we wanted an ATR column. All right. And click 18. Well, that's not going to be a good one. Average. There we go. We want an average column for, let's say, average true range. So we could click here and we could go show column, and it'll bring us back to the columns, and we can see that we've added the average true range here. By clicking OK, it'll reset the scan. So it'll be like the scan starting from scratch all over again. And now this time with the columns that we want. Everybody likes to look at their data a certain way. I like to see the time come in first, so I can just grab the columns and move them. So here we go, time, symbol, price. That's how I like to display data. That's just a personal preference. And you can see that I have it here. So time, symbol, price, time, symbol, price, time, symbol, price, time, symbol, price. That's just how I happen to like to display that. So, again, this is open forum. So, anybody that has some questions, fire them away, please. And we can take this here. And so you'll have one top list and one alert window. We'll share this as well. Save and share. Paste. And there you go. Sorry, so I'm following a little internal chat that's going on here. All right, so again, try to keep it interesting, keep it moving. We can get rid of these windows now. But that gives you, Raj, some templates to work on, and hopefully that pointed you in the right direction so you can, refine that scan however you want to. And like I said, it's open forum, so, it's much more interesting if you guys are asking the questions for me to answer. I can make up content, of course, try to keep it interesting, try to keep it moving. So I'll default to what I like to do. In the absence of any questions, we'll take a look at Holly. The last couple of days, there'd been some winners, some losers. It was a little tougher eking out some of those spreads today. Not so much. You're very welcome, Raj. Today, a little easier on me today. So I like moderate profit personally. That's where I'm usually going to be displaying things. She certainly does well in conservative. And if we look on a percentage basis today, conservative did work better than moderate profit here. All right. There was no stop outs or anything like that. So aggressive and moderate are going to look the same. And again, for those of you that are not aware, I hate aggressive. I hate that we display it. I'm very vocal about that. Aggressive is trading without a stop, and trading without a stop is not trading. It's gambling. Go find yourself a card table. You have probably better results gambling than you will trading without a stop in any market. With that said, let's take a look at what Holly did. We'll go from the bottom to the top here. So PGEN came from our Mighty Mouse strategy today. All right. And let's take a look here. Bit of a tough trader. It's been a beat up stock. It was something that I was very interested in, traded months and months and months ago, probably towards the beginning of the year. I've been tracking it for a long time. I kind of had those patterns back here that I really like, did a lot of this back here that I really liked, but all for naught. As after we moved into the new year, it's been a steady decline, and everything, just getting pounded every time it starts to make any move, it gets sold right off. But all the same, Holly found it today, regardless of what that daily looked like. Let's zoom back in a little bit here. Make this chart a little more appropriate for what we're looking at. And on the 15-minute chart here, we can see that Holly gets in at 23 after the hour. So we're looking at this bar here, right in the middle of it, and she gets right into the money right away. Buyers and sellers become equal. We come down, we touch the entry, and we kind of just flop around the rest of the day. So the entry was decent. It gave you another chance to get in. gave you plenty of chances to get out with some money. It was never a painful trade. After the entry, we never broke the entry. All right. But we also never really took off either. So as you can see here, in this max profit column there, it's 4284 or 4284 is what I saw. If I took 100 shares or risked $100 based on that stop loss. So the shares I would have taken was 476. And so, like I said, there wasn't much alpha to be had on it. It was a painless trade when it was up in it. And so even to this point, you could have snuck out with a few dollars based on share sizing for a $100 risk. We can kind of see that the momentum in this trade too, looking on a 15-minute chart, it really just kind of held this 8 EMA until it started breaking down right here towards the close right now. So buyers and sellers just pretty much equal on that the entire day. Not much of a spread to get out on that. But like I said, there's no danger and no pain in that trade. Ride, different story. So she did it long, she did it short. Nice entry here. All right. And just, pressure all day long, moving along that 8 EMA. That's what I like to use. That's what I like to guide with. That's just my personal preference. 10 SMA is a very comparable one to that. Something else that I've used in the past, just kind of moved over to the 8 EMA. But so we could see that we get the signal here at 9:55, 40 seconds at 7:35. Now, because of the range of this, all right, and the way the stop worked today, it was a very wide stop, and that kept us with a very small share size, risking that $100 of 68 shares. So again, using the trader's eye and maybe your own stop loss method instead of Holly's stop loss method, you might have been able to share size a little bigger for a little bit nicer of a profit. And we can see on the max profit here that it was 55.21. We're pulling into the close anyways, so not really any spread to be had, risk on or risk off, to be honest with you here. She did make the exit right back here. And we can see that, it is peeling down a few cents at the end here, but all the same, it's basically the same risk on, risk off spread. That's with that. Real clean entry. And again, off this entry, we touched the entry line again, and that was it. We never looked back here. So buyers and sellers become equal here again. And you can call it a bear flag even. Stretch a little bit of it, but down, moving the opposite direction from that down, and then back down again. Buyers and sellers become equal for about half an hour again before we get one last release there. And then same thing here again, that kind of range. So, and again, still still an open forum here. So I don't want to bore you all just going over Holly, but I'd like the forum to be you folks asking questions and me answering those questions. So like I said, I'll fill the dead air time the best that I can. And sorry, just getting some internal messaging here going on. And just looking at some spread in an automated strategy that I'm involved in some live back testing right now for closing out the week here. So it's getting that data coming into me. Last one, the big winner, the beautiful one here, BITF, signal 1008. And one thing I'll comment about these signals is I like when the signals come in between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. This one's a little more later than I like, but I generally won't enter trades after 11:30 in the morning unless I see a real big swing opportunity into it. It's just a personal preference, but something I learned a long time ago from someone else in the traders room that Barry runs Real, who kind of helps moderate that room, if you will. He always talks about how most stocks have made their highs and lows for the day by, I think 11:15 is what he says, something like that. So, you're range bound with most stocks after that, and trying to pick, which side to be on that range is a little more difficult as a trader. So getting those alerts, in that 10 o'clock area, that odds are you might still see a new high or a new low for the day if you're going short or going long. And the thing that I like about that, they come in after the open 20 plus minutes or so, is that a lot of the head fakes that happen in the morning as well have been made. The trees have been shaken, so on and so forth, any stops that are being hit. So circle back to BTIF, 10:08, 41 seconds, we get the entry at 470. Yeah, Real is where I learned all, I got a few lectures from Real several years ago when I was discussing trades and they're not working, and him asking me what my stop was, and I said I didn't have a stop, and so he was the one that told me. He's like, "Don't even trade. You're wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time with your question if you don't have a stop." He really let me have it a few times, to be honest, and I'm glad he did. To be honest, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you had he not laid into me a few times. Um, so we see I got the arrow here marking where this came in on that chart, and we came down and almost got that stop, but this was a very tight stop on this, which caused us to take a very large share size, actually risking that $100. So 1,000 shares. It was a 10-cent stop. Okay, so 460 being the stop. Excuse me. Now we can see here with the 470 entry. And so that means we didn't need a lot of alpha to get into the money either, but we weren't sticking around and messing around either here. And what we can see for our trader's eye is the fact that when we get the entry here, we come down and kind of test that gap up that's right here on the day, but never filled that gap or never got way down into that gap. And we towed the line here for a little bit. And see that 8 EM kind of started to catch us up. And we get a nice little pull up after the buyers and sellers equal for about 45 minutes there. Gets us some money there. And we never really look back again. We get another range bound. We take another leg up. We kind of stayed range bound for the rest of the day. A couple of wicks here would be nice to sell a few shares up there. It's always good feeling when we do something like that. But, anywhere where it started to wiggle in this area here too, when we have such a big share lot, we could have said to ourselves, well, let's peel out maybe 250 here. Let's peel out maybe 250 here, still leaving us with half that lot. And that's how we manage being traders, and we manage man and machine. So again, open forum. I see it's a, smaller crowd again today, but I like it when I get the questions. I prefer to answer the questions. It makes it much more interesting. We learn and we grow together from the questions. So I'll take a pause for a second here, sip some water, get my throat wet again. Someone has some kind of question. Again, I'm open to looking at charts with anybody. I'm no chart expert in any sort of fashion or manner, but always like to look at charts. It's something I have a general passion for. All right, so I don't see anything coming in here. And keep it interesting and keep it moving the best that we can. So Barry's option scanner here. And take a look at what that did today. This I loaded a little bit late today, actually. So LAUR came in much earlier than what you're seeing here. But it ended up being a good alert off this all the same. So, it's pretty beautiful right there. And our unique technology, when you have new highs, it looks back and you click on the new high alert. It's going to give you what that line was. And we can see as soon as we busted that line, it was off to the races. So again, some of our technology proprietary stuff helping you out as traders. The original alert, I believe, actually came in on this candle here, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I loaded the scan late, so that's why I'd shown 1053 there. Let's widen this up. I like to look at the seconds even. Got stuck with the, see if I can get it going this way. There we go. That's giving me what I want. So yes, I know, and it's been a hang up for some people here with the 5.5 version with the columns. There is a limitation due to the docking windows. However, we are working on it, and we'll get it so you guys can resize your columns, much bigger and smaller than what you can right now. The workaround for right now is have less columns. In the internal testing that we did, and when this was a beta for months and months and months, no one made any comments about the column sizing whatsoever. And as soon as it came to production, as the majority of the users started upgrading, that's where we found some issues. So again, we heard you, and it's being worked on. We're developing it, so it will be in one of the next builds. I can't say if it'll be the next build or 2 or 3 from there, but it's something that's on the top of the priority list for the dev team. Thoughts on Ride? It's a tough trader. I almost got into it yesterday. Glad I didn't. I was watching it again on that gap up this morning, but if you look, it gapped right up to almost yesterday's highs and gave it right up and never looked back again. It's one of those things, they don't really produce anything at this moment. They sold, this was all news driven. They sold that, they sold that factory to Foxconn actually, which is kind of a big deal for Foxconn and Apple, if you ask me, because, chip shortages and so on and so forth. And is that supply chain going to affect anything? But, overall ride, it's a good day trader, I guess, because it has some big intraday moves and things like that. But I mean, look at this chart. It's a lot of pain in this chart. A lot of pain in this chart as we zoom out. There's nothing long term bullish about it unless they start to come up with something special. But that was a double top right there, if you will. And just the supply has been distributing to any demand that's even attempted to buy the stock this whole way through. So long term, I can't, there's nothing long term about this chart to me. Even here, I see that pattern, but it's gotten smacked down 2 days in a row, trying to break out of this range, if you will, that beginning of a cup to even make a handle. So, if it could get back $7, $8 and hold it for a few days or a few weeks, and maybe start to build on a higher low, you might have something going there. But again, how many bag holders do you have from this range here that are looking to get anything back whatsoever and going to distribute shares to anybody coming here? So kind of basic supply and demand type of thing on that chart. So it's a good day trader. A lot of range on it, at doing 3 times its normal volume here over the course of 10 days, 35 million shares, 35.3 million shares. That's really, really liquid. So even if you cut that in a third, you're still looking over 10 million shares traded on the day. So it's a liquid stock as far as what I consider definition of liquid stock, very liquid stock. It has these good ranges, you know what I mean? So look, almost $9 there, down to $6 there. It's a huge trading range for you. So it's a great trading vehicle. If you can get on the right side of those trades, work your plan, have your plan, why you're entering, why you're exiting, so on and so forth. And that's my thought on a ride chart. Are you guys working on more products for options? No, we're not. What we have for options, I don't think anything else will be coming in on that set. I would sooner say that you'll find, the one thing that I have been asking for years, maybe an EMA filter or something like that, wander its way in before you'll find anything else for options at this time. It's more because we're really scanning for stocks, not options. So that's the reasoning behind it. I would like to tell you yes, Raj, but no, we're not. Sorry, just getting some internal messaging again. So again, still open forum. So please, fire away the questions. And fire away things that we can demonstrate, we can look at here together. I'll jump back on this option scanner from Barry. I don't think this really did a whole lot of anything afterwards. Yeah. So, alerted here at 83, topped out at 90, not much doing there. Ran right into that resistance there. So that's kind of clear and cut right there. Nothing interesting about that alert to me anyways. Apron, this is a funny one. I've been watching this for a long time. I think I've been, I say a long time. I've been watching this since the 23rd of September. If you ask me how I know that, let me pop this window out real quick. Duplicate into a free floating window. And this is how I know. I use the My Liked function. I'm really big into it. And on the My Liked function, I can see that I clicked and liked this stock at September 23rd, 9:09 a.m. and 59 seconds Eastern time. All right, so it's clear as day. That's when I started watching this. So let's see what was going on the 23rd of September. That is right here. So this had come through my evening scanner, all right? And I saw this pattern here develop. I like that. I saw this. I got it here on that through there, all right? And same kind of thing here. Whoops, that's not so great. Same kind of idea here that I'm looking at. I'm drawing that line terribly, but hopefully you're getting the gist of what I'm looking at here. That right there, all right? I'd ended up not trading it. I'd love to tell you I did. It would have been great if I did. Just had other things going on, so I wasn't concerned about it. But we look at today, rejected at 8. struggling at 8, struggling at 8 for it makes a nice little move through finally, comes back down, playing with the 8 EMA, comes back up, and the market sold off into the end, and this was a victim of a sell-off in the end of the market. If you ask me, I don't know if there's news that's involved in any of this or anything like that, doing 3 on the relative volume. And again, for those that don't know, relative volume is an average of 10 days. It's weighted heavier at the close and the open. All right. It's done as a ratio. So 3 means 3 times. And, basically 4.5 million shares traded today. So liquid stock, I don't know if there's some news or maybe people are getting ready to hunker back down for the colder months in the Northern Hemisphere here and order some stuff through Blue Apron. I don't pay attention to any of those things like that. But it's no coincidence that we struggled right there. If we look back on that chart, throw a horizontal line. While it didn't quite touch that line was in shooting distance. And so you can believe that there are people that were watching that and decided that they, maybe they're holding from the last few days and under $10, 50 cents is a big mental area under $10. And that's these are the kind of things that we look at as traders. So that's what I saw there. Came through Barry's scanner. Like I said, I was watching it earlier in the day for the last several days. I don't think it was on my automated list today. Nope, it wasn't. Or if it was, it didn't trigger because it didn't get high enough above the low of yesterday. So you can see on my liked list, this T window here is looking at all the symbols that I've liked. It was, floating around here the whole day on this list. So that's kind of that. Again, see the numbers have ticked back up again. So open forum, live Q&A. I'm just filling airtime, going through some different scans and things that were, interesting to look at today. So please, by all means, fire away your questions. Give me a second to catch my breath here. And like I said, I like the questions because we learn and grow together. And there's things that I have not used in this program in years and years and years. They slip my mind. They're not something that I would immediately go to. And so by having people, for example, I had a situation where I thought there was a bug a couple of weeks ago. User chimed in with something and the alerts when I was running the history weren't coming through right. And I forgot that we have in properties view mode. And instead of newest first, he had it grouped by. It was just something that I'd forgotten. It's not something that normally gets used. It doesn't default to do any of this in the scan. So, bring back fresh lessons once in a while for even us that use this software as much as anybody. That's what I mean by learning and growing together. So, all right, well, take a look at BMRA. I set a price alert on this. It interested me a little bit. Something that I probably looked at in the past because you see that line that's drawn there. Who knows when I drew that? But, we look at this kind of level here and, you got this high that's right there going back. You got this high that's wicked right there. So maybe, that happy in the middle kind of area, stick that line. These things are not exact sciences. And, that line was in eye range on that 15-minute chart and just didn't want to break that, really heavy options volume today. We can see that's there. Relative volume was insane when that went off. But, I stuck that price alert there. I pierced it that one time. We can see marked by that blue arrow. And I just didn't feel like it had the gusto to get through it. Reset that price alert, and that was it. We never really looked back again on that, and just buyers and sellers kind of stayed equal the rest of the day. So, maybe it's something to take a look at. Keep that price alert there. I will going into next week. I'm not sure. I'm going to guess. There must have been news. I mean, I can't imagine that it has a 94 million shares traded today because someone just felt like trading it. 10 mil in the float. So it's one of those ones you want to be careful of too. Those things could whip either way on you. So not much right home there. QTNT, same thing here. 67, we get the alert. Tops out at 85-ish, give or take. Let's see what the candle actually says. Hover the mouse there. Should give me the data. There we go. So high was 285. All right. So, a few pennies to be had there. If you got in early enough, a little bit of time to get there and some time to definitely sell for sure. If that was an alert that you liked, if you were using maybe the opening range of the day, share size decently according to that, a little bit of spread there, depends on what your trading plan is. MAT, is that Mattel? Yeah, Mattel toys. So, oof, been a tough couple of months for the toy industry with Mattel apparently. I don't know if it's a victim of being, part of the Nasdaq or not. Nasdaq has struggled for a little bit here. Call that a double top as well. Certainly something interesting to look at as far as that goes. Yeah, kind of an ugly curling pattern down there. So, but we got the signal here late in the day, 3 o'clock, 65. And again, not much doing there. And I don't think we're going to find much on those two alerts either. We'll just look at them for fun anyways. 1163. And at the end of the day, top tick 315. It's on a Friday. I don't think too many people are trying to enter too much at 315 on a Friday. I'm certainly not. I did take something home with me today. I took some shares of, and I just look at this here. So again, same thing, 318. Close strong. Might be something worth looking at going into next week. There's some kind of catalyst there. A lot of options volume going on. Let's mark it up. See what that. See if anything lines up here on the daily chart. Looks like you got $4 is that next kind of resistance, bumping around these last couple of days. So, might be something to look at over the next couple of days. Certainly a little bit of room to run on these two topping tails that are there. Not quite a red bar ignore on the daily here. And if you're wondering what red bar ignore means, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, get us a little better look here. So red bar ignore happens when the red bar is sandwiched by two green bars. So we didn't quite get that today since the bottom of this red bar is sticking out below the bottoms of those green bars. However, the tops of the green bars do engulf. And I think, maybe if we could push through with a little gusto here next week, maybe you see 350, something like that. So again, you want to share size, risk, reward properly to what you're looking at as a day trade. But it might be something to keep an eye on for next week, as there's 10 million shares traded today, doing almost 4.5 times its relative volume on the 10 days. That won't just fall off a cliff next week. That doesn't mean that it's going to have massive volume, and we can see that big volume decline, bigger volume decline. We're up again a little bit, so we get a front row seat to next week what that may do. So it might be something that interests you to set a price alert for there. So let's see, we're at 4:13 Eastern time. Kind of quiet, all of you on the questions panel there. So go over what I did. Did something come in? Do you mind sharing doc compare counts of small caps, small big caps, 4 windows? I made mine. I'd like to confirm I've done it properly. Yeah, sure. So this is what I had today. I left it off. Some people were telling me that my screen was kind of fuzzy and hard to see, so I left it off so I could keep these windows a little bit bigger here, to be honest. I'm going to even do that, get these a little bigger for you all to look at, make that nicer. There we go. So this is what my compare count window was. This was running from the open today. It kind of creeped up most of the day. We can see here, big moves, big moves, big moves, big moves. And, so what we look at here, look at data. So that those big moves and those compare count windows. Trying to move that and bring a SPY chart over. All right, 15-minute SPY chart. And we can see, everybody was kind of a winner at some point today. You can see the bigger caps really took off. Smaller caps, as usual, lagging behind. But that big move, range bound, big move again. So, bulls got a win today. Bears will lick their wounds, but as the saying goes, don't shorten the hole either. So, you could have people that, may or may not have been overall short the market. Let's say they've been short back here somewhere. Here, they're in the money. They're holding into the money. All right, maybe some covering. So is today some covering? Is it some dip buying? I don't know. And neither do you. And that's all I can say about that. So does that help you, David, at all as far as the compares go? And I'm not sure, was it you that I shared them with last week? I think I did. I think that was you. let's get rid of that SPY chart. Let's put that back. And I'll kind of dive into two things that I did today. Can I explain it? Yes, of course. So our compare count windows are, let's go to configure. All right. And we're going to configure here. All right. We come in and we set it up like any other window. So what we've done here is we've taken these filters that are in here. All right. And we've cordoned them off 4 different windows by market cap. So I have sub 2 billion. You can't see it now because this is in the way. Let me get rid of this first and we'll come back into the configure. So you have sub 2 billion, 2 to 4 billion, greater than 4 billion, and greater than 4.5 billion. All right, as far as market cap. So 4 separate individual windows inside this docking here, okay? And each one is very similar in the fact that what they're looking for minus the market cap. So that specific one, this is where we see the max market cap. We have a distance from inside market to make sure we're filtering out bad prints. We put an EPS filter in here to get rid of the ETFs. We want to see 1 minute volume of 300. So that means it's doing 3 times its normal 1 minute volume, taking over a 10-day average of 1 minute volumes. All right. We do the same thing for each one of these. All right. So that's the red data on this side, the green data on this side. Okay. So this one is also, sorry, I didn't go over that part. This one is looking for the new lows that are being made, where this one is looking for the new highs being made. And they both have all the exact same filters. All right. And that's going to go down the line for each one of these windows. So that's window 1 that's up here, window 2, same thing, right click, configure. All right. Same thing. But now we can see the market cap has changed in this. Window specific filters. Now we've got in between 2 billion and all the way out here to 4 billion. All right. So you can do this with a lot of different things. In fact, I made one for the SPY. Something really simple. Someone just wanted a template and an idea to play with. And I created that for them. So let me try to look and see if I have that saved still. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm bring this menu bar over here. I'm looking, I'm going into file, load from cloud. I'm going to search SPY, SPY Watcher. I don't have that compare count window there, unfortunately. Let me just check one more thing here. Try not to erase things when I create them in case I ever got to go back to it. There we go. S&P I called it, not SPY. So where did that go? It disappeared on me. Search it this way. S and P. There we go. All right. So search my cloud, found that. I'm going to load it. I'm going to get rid of this menu bar. And we're going to bring it back over. This is just more ways for us to look at data. Now, of course, it's not going to really be doing anything at this moment because the market is closed. All right. But what I did in here in the configure, all right, and pick new high, new low, pre-market high, post-market low is what I'd done for this person. All right. Because they just wanted to see new highs versus new lows. All right. And so I just kept it really simple with these selected alerts that are in here and checked off each one of them for them so they compare new highs and new lows. All right. And you can do the same thing here. Put them on this side. All right. For the down. And that's all I really did. All right. And you can set the speeds of these things. So on and so forth. And if you ever want to create one, same thing over here. New, compare count window. And you start to configure green data. Start to look at these things. It's going to have a default that's there. All right. Get rid of whatever you don't like. Configure the red data, so on and so forth. All right. And so you can decide what you want to compare in those compare count windows. And it gives you a shot at what the market's doing. So what I like to do with this is took this from Mr. Jamie Hodge. He's the original creator of these. I like to look at where we are in these different market caps and are we to a buy side or sell side essentially in the biased here. So when we see a big green bar that's on here and we can see maybe 60% on any of these things, we know in those market caps that it looks like for the time being, our bias is to the long side and vice versa. Today, the bias was to the short side. for most of the day, right up until we took off here about midday. So I'm going to get rid of those. Hopefully that explanation works, helped you out there. And again, we're at 20 past the hour. I will be wrapping up in about 10 minutes unless you guys start rapid firing some questions for me here. Take a moment here and I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly from my personal trading today. Anybody that's been in here recently knows I've been real big natural gas. And while the UNG index, the ETF, was down today, most of the natural gas stocks were bucking the trend. So I had some price alerts that were set. I took my shot here. You can see at 18.20, I took that here, and looked like I was on the right side of this. It started to move down, and so on this candle moving down, I said, well, Friday, I'm not taking it home with me. I don't feel like taking any risk home this weekend. I closed the trade here, all right, at 8:30. I think 8:30 maybe is where I closed it. And at the time, it looked like I made the right decision. All right, we came down here, we moved down, trade moved against me, and we stayed down here for a while. And we didn't get back up above my entry for a while, and it just kind of hovered around that entry. So it looked like, I made 10 cents on the trade, buy dinner, looked all right. Eventually, it did recover, and it took off. But we struggled right there at that high of the day. So, we call it whatever we want. But I wasn't letting a winner turn into a loser today, and that's all that was to it. I managed my risks, so on and so forth. So I call that the ugly, if you will. The good was ERJ. It's something I've been trading a lot in and out of. I like the ranges. It stays fairly liquid as far as I'm concerned. And I took my shot as well here. Entry's a little later than I wanted. I was trying to get it back here. I was in the middle of something else and, didn't get quite the entry I wanted, but I like the stock overall. I like the way we've been pushing this. I like the way we've held this gap through here. All right. We came down, we tested it, we filled it, we came back up. So I liked what it was doing on this daily chart here. I like that, all that stuff going on there. And I liked our shot at that up there. That was where my eye went to. That's where I was biased to. So I took my shot here. I came down, I was in pain for a few minutes, and then we moved up. We stayed kind of just moving up the rest of the day. I sold some of it here at just shy of 17.98, and I held half my share lot going into the weekend. So I took a little small risk into the weekend. I like my shot at a gap up on Monday morning with that. I will be quick to sell it on that gap up probably. I won't stick around long unless that gap looks real strong, unless the market also looks real strong. We're off the all-time highs, so there's nothing by just a little bit. So there's nothing bearish to me, but I'm just, once again, cookies are on the table. Lately, that's the kind of trading that I've had to do with managing my risk. So that's just give you a shot into what I've done here today on how I'm doing it. Let's see, anything else coming in on the questions? Thank you. That really helpful. Create a couple of these weekend. Yeah. There's just so much to trade ideas. And, oftentimes people say, oh, do you have a user's guide? And well, we actually do have a video user's guide that's going to be coming out more in depth, a little more organized. It's an entire, I believe, YouTube channel or Google page set YouTube channels. But there's no do this in this order guide, because, with thousands and thousands and thousands of users, everybody wants to look at something different first. Some people are coming in as very experienced traders and, they're not going to really care about the channel bar. They want to get in there and start building the scans that they want right away. And other people want canned scans for them. And so, these are things that we've also created. So, for me as a new user that knew almost nothing about trading years and years ago, when I come into trade ideas, channel bar was great to me. I did okay with it, for a little bit. And then I started to venture in to learn who I was as a trader and moved off of that. So, there's no right or wrong direction to start off with the software. That's for sure. So winding down here, we got a few minutes before I shut down. So please, any more questions, fire them away. It makes my job easier here instead of just filling dead air time with my own voice. Take a sip of water and a pause for dramatic effect. As we start to wind this all down here. So again, if someone has a chart that they want to take a look at, I'm really happy to take a look with you all. And I'm also just, still taking a look around some internal stuff that's going on here. Am I going to be at the slot every day? Yes, Monday through Friday, I'm going to be here at 3:30, barring, personal day off or something like that. Kind of got a busy fall schedule in my personal life. I coach my daughter's softball team, so a lot of days I'm busting right out of here at 4:30 for softball. When the colder months start to roll around, if I have a little less going on, if people are keeping me engaged and keeping questions more about the software, I'll stick around longer after 4:30 on some of those days. If it's just chart talk, I may or may not, depending on, if I'm looking to get out of here. I do start my days very, very, very early. Some days I'm here answering questions via our email at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I do get tired. But yes, for now, moving forward, we put out an email that I'll be doing this. If you're not on our email list, make sure you're on our primary list. If you wonder if you are or are not on our primary list, you can always send an email to here, info@trade-ideas.com. Did that right? Yeah. Send an email there saying, hey, am I on your primary list? And we'll stick you on it if you're not. The other thing that I threw out there too is, for whatever reason, a lot of our emails end up in people's junk or spam. So, always keep an eye out there. Maybe check it every couple of days or every day, whatever your preference and time frame is. Check in whatever your preference and time frame is and see if the email ended up there for you. The idea here is we have the noon Eastern Q&A every day on YouTube, but I know a lot of people can't make that. I feel like our users would have a lot more success with more live instruction from us. And while we're not necessarily allowed to teach trading, it's not something we're allowed to do. Just by talking about trading, talking about setups, talking about scans, hopefully through passive learning, that might help some people retain a little bit more, a little more success. I'm of the mindset there's room for everybody at the top. Do you have the discipline to make it? That's another question. Do you have the mindset to learn it? That's another question. But I just thought we have enough people in support, so I took it upon myself to make this time slot for us here. Possibly during the winter, I'm going to try to do some also later stuff, maybe in 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern time slot when everybody's home from work. Go over some evening scanning, things like that, so on and so forth. But for now, this is what we got. We've added this extra hour. We're going to keep it. Just hopefully I get enough engagement here that I'm not talking to dead air this entire time. So 429, kind of quiet questions panel. So I'm going to give you a going once, going twice, sold 3 times moment here. If anybody has any questions, please fire them in. Otherwise, in a moment here, I will cut this stream. It looks like everybody's questions have been satisfied for the day. So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast, everybody. Thank you, David. You have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys back here at 3:30. So that's good, but later, too late some, UK and Europe. Yeah, my pleasure. I had to pick and choose between an early time slot and a late time slot. Like I said, I took this upon myself, and a later time slot right now works better for me with my personal schedule and work schedule. So, you can always keep an eye and might fire away with an early morning pre-market stream 2 here and there before Barry gets himself going in the morning. So, all right, everybody, you have a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you next week. Take care. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.